Alright everyone, Biden's having a real one now. He's getting flack from literally everyone in DC right now for a decision he made the other day to send 1,500 US troops to the Mexican border. Now, I'll try to unpack this. Firstly, I find it very funny that criticism from his own party only comes when he's doing something that's actually necessary. The border crisis exists. There are a limitless number of people from all around, especially Latin America, pouring across the US border. They're not getting deported. Many of them are not getting processed. They're disappearing. We've got human trafficking at a mass level going on, and I guarantee that the real impetus behind his decision to do this is realizing his own party won't allow him to gain funding to actually solve the problem of the southern border, despite the fact that it's become massively politically inconvenient. Specifically because of the whistleblower report that we got last week, alleging that a significant proportion, about a third of all of the unaccompanied minors that are entering the United States, they're disappearing. In other words, they are currently slaves, or at the very least, they're in indentured servitude. Hey, kid, work for 2 years in this sweatshop and I'll get you across, but you gotta work hard. And then of course they shoot him before they never actually let him go. By the way, to desperate people in the third world, you do realize that friendly narco that wants to get you into the country if you just sit on his face a little bit, probably gonna get your head blown off afterwards, so it's probably not a good idea to sign the contract, so to speak. A little bit, it's like fucking the mafia should take over the border. At the very least, they would honor their contractual agreements. Still be prostitution and trafficking and stuff, but at the very least, an attempt would be made. And they'd probably do a better job of preventing illegal crossings because it cost a lot more to bribe them than the U.S. border officials. Send the Italian mafia to go to the border. Let them handle it. Declare the border a mafia zone. Don't worry about it too much. Forget about it. Anyway, everyone is dogpiling Biden. The Republicans are dogpiling him and pointing out, and this is true, hey Joe, remember that time that Trump decided he wanted to send National Guardsmen down to the border and you and your party declared it to be illegal and unconscionable? You just hate the migrants, you hate brown people, you're a bigot, you're a racist. Well, that's exactly what you're doing now. How is that any different? He doesn't even want to answer questions, by the way, on the subject. He's getting panned by the leftist Democrats, who have a significant group within the House and a couple of senators. They're all angry about it because they're like, oh, no, give us your tired and poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free, and doing the star-spangled bullshit that the Democrats have begun to do inexplicably over the last half decade or so, more and more, until they sort of sound like fucking George W. at times, and it really pisses me off as a millennial, by the way. Made a mistake voting for Obama in 2008. I should have voted Mickey Mouse, I suppose. Oh wait, based on what Disney's doing right now, guess I should have just voted for Abraham Lincoln's corpse or something like that. The skeleton probably would have done a better job than W or Obama, by the way. Anyway, there's no support for this. Everyone knows that it's a good idea, but the Dems won't support it for ideological reasons. Their far-left support base is stupid and doesn't realize that it's necessary and that you're really hurting yourself by allowing the border crisis to continue. And I'm doubtful as to whether 1,500 troops is enough to make a big difference, but it makes it look like you're trying to make a difference for what it's worth. And the right wing will pan him for the hypocrisy involved. Trump, I don't know if Trump has weighed in on this yet, but it would be so funny if he did. Joe, haha, finally you decided to take another one of my ideas and promote it. Sort of like when you built the rest of the wall that was already funded down in Texas, I believe, with money already allocated after spending months holding off. You remember when that was done very quietly last year? And Biden didn't talk about it very much, even though technically it is the right thing to do. The money's already there. The materials are already there. Hey, there's a border crisis. It made sense. But too little, too late. The big problem with Biden's border policy isn't even the pragmatic on-the-ground catch and release and stuff like that. That's not it. They are still detaining people. They are still processing people. There are even still quite a few deportations going on. That's not the problem. This is also what gave Trump his major strength on the U.S. border issue. This is why there were so many fewer people crossing the border under Trump. He didn't even do anything for several years because he wasn't given the money or the resources to do it, other than, again, having a few extra agents to help expedite the processing process. That's basically it for the first 2 years, and yet border crossings fell anyway. Why? Because people in other countries looked at Trump, what he said he wanted to do, and said, it's not a good idea to cross because I'll get deported. It demoralized the border crossers. They figured, hey, the U.S. administration will actually take action if I attempt to enter the country. So it's not worth making the trek. I probably will get caught. I'll probably get turned away and be fingerprinted and all this shit. If I do manage to get into the country in the future, all my biometrics are there. I'm not going to be able to escape for very long, potentially. I'll end up getting caught and deported because of evil Trump. With Biden, despite his moves to secure the border, and that is a half-assing, it won't do that much. It's only 1,500 people for an extremely large border. Should be closer to 100,000, but you could also let vigilantes and state governments get involved. I guarantee they do a fucking better job than the federal government would. That shipping container wall they were building down in parts of Arizona and in Texas, probably more meaningful and impactful than putting up a chain link fence, which is what Biden's been doing to patch the holes. It's not exactly a 30-foot bollard now, is it? The real reason why there are so many crossings is because people perceive the administration as being uninterested in deporting them. So there's less risk involved. Well, naturally, more people are going to come. They have a reason. There's a positive to coming. Hey, even if I'm working under the table for sub-minimum wage, I'm used to crushing poverty. Yeah, I'm living with 4 roommates in a single room but I've got a bathroom now. And I've got enough money. I'm not paying taxes anyway. So at the end of the month, I can send 20, 30 bucks back to Guatemala City or something. My family has a considerably larger income locally. They'll have more food. My little brother gets education and stuff. And I've got banana chips. I've got a roof over my head that doesn't leak. Yeah, I'm working again 10-hour shifts, but I am making money. And if I do this for long enough, things hopefully they improve. Maybe someday I get amnesty or something. There's a good reason to come illegally to the United States, even under those conditions. But if you've got a strong man like Trump in there, it becomes more risky. The risk rises. Always analyze things according to risk versus reward. If you got a big reward, you're willing to take more risks than for a little thing. This is the nature of how crime operates unless you're dealing with a psychopath or someone who's really pushed to the limit. A criminal typically, this is why you could end a significant amount of the property crime in the country by simply having nationwide stand your ground castle doctrine and subsidized gun ownership. Everyone should have guns. You'd see burglary would drop like a rock very, very quickly. Assault would drop like a rock. Property crime in general, certain violent crimes would actually become far less numerous if everyone knew that everyone else was locked and loaded at all times. Unless they are a psychopath, they're probably not going to whip out their gun because they're not fucking stupid. Most criminals are not willing to die for your wallet. That's why if you have a gun, or a knife, depending on if they're armed at all, you fare better when you're mugged than somebody who's unarmed. Unless you happen to be, Chiseled Chris, the 6'5" bodybuilder, you could be vulnerable. So that's why they target little old ladies and shit like that. Then they realize that little old ladies don't carry cash anymore. They just have their phone and they have Google Pay or something like that. Google Cash. Anyway. Now, Biden's getting panned by the Dems, he's getting panned by the Republicans, he's getting panned by independent voters, he'll probably get panned by the Mexican authorities. Everyone hates him on this. I'm not even sure why he's bothering. It's a half-assed attempt that's not going to appease anyone other than a handful of laid-back Democrats that tend to support him anyway. I guess the idea is that the 20% of the party that really is on board with Joe, I guess he just wants to have some friends left. That's about all. Peace out.